Alright, folks, thanks for tuning in. Hope y'all are doing okay today. So, with who I am as a person, and the fact that I am friends with people that have numerous political opinions on all sides of the aisle, from, basically diehard libertarians to diehard Republicans to diehard Democrats and everything in between, I've been stirring up social media privately, debating the whole Roe v. Wade thing. And where it gets really interesting is seeing some of the arguments for or against it that are just bad. Like one of them, a guy said something to the effect of, it's a woman's right to choose and this and that, and if she decides to go get that because, to go get an abortion pill, which you can take it up to 9 weeks or morning after or whatever, that's kind of her business, and, in the discussion, because, she might not want the burden of that. And I said, okay, well, play this the other way around. I said, suppose that woman is part of a couple and she wants to keep the kid, but the dad doesn't want to, and so then she or he goes and gets the abortion pill and spikes her coffee or whatever. And he gets found out. What happens to that guy? Well, he's a murderer. I'm like, wait, how is that any different from what the woman's? Well, it was her choice. I'm like, so it was her choice to choose murder? And there's very few arguments in the pro-choice circles that hold water with me. And I've told y'all where I stand before. In case of rape, incest, or life of the mother, I'm okay with it. So I think that even though it's a bad situation, I think that, abortion should be allowed in those select circumstances. Outside of that, I don't have much sympathy for any other abortion arguments. If sex was not forced on you, or the child will not kill you, you kind of made your decisions. But the one thing that I've got to say about all this is one of the discussions got really interesting. So in Roe v. Wade, there's a line in there, and I'm going to butcher the quote, but basically it's in Roe v. Wade, and it's something to the effect of that it's between the woman and her doctor to decide what life is and isn't, and that's kind of how they okayed abortion. One of the lines in there, and I'm butchering that. Well, there's a line in this draft opinion that says something similar, but basically that abortion should be up to the states to determine what life is, which I find kind of a cop out on the Supreme Court, that they can't even say, look, here's what we believe life is. Personally, I think that, honestly, for consensus sake, someone needs to come forward and explain what life is or isn't, define it quite clearly from a scientific and medical perspective. And, have scientific discussion and debate on it. As an example, if we found an aborted fetus on Mars, we'd be going crazy because we found evidence of, complex life on Mars. If we found a living single-celled organism on Mars, we'd go absolutely ape because there's other life outside of our solar system, or in our solar system. Yet you can find rapidly growing life in a woman's womb, and it's deemed an inconvenience and a clump of cells and something that will weigh her down forever. And okay, two things can be true at once. As a dad, I don't understand any of what women go through during pregnancy from the first person perspective. The only understanding that I've got is second person, watching women that I am related to, that I've married, that I have worked with, and that I know outside, in my own personal social circles, going through pregnancy. And so I can see them and get some knowledge on what it would be like to go through pregnancy. You slow down, you hurt, you are emotional, everything swells, everything hurts. You can't stand, you can't sit, you can't lay down, the baby kicks and wakes you up. You've always got to go to the bathroom, on and on. None of that sounds fun. And then on top of that, after the baby comes, you are, whether you bottle feed or breastfeed, you are tethered to the child until it's possible to have childcare provided. Well, what I can understand is this: the financial burden of kids. Up until, call it 2020, I was the breadwinner for my family, and it's tough, I'm not gonna lie. And I was working night shift with a bunch of kids, and I say kids, I mean, the lion's share of them was younger guys that were either dating or young couples, but they didn't have kids yet, and that's the lion's share of them. There were exceptions to the rule, but that was the majority. So, and you'd hear these guys talking about, oh, well, when I get off, I'm hopping a plane and I'm going here for the weekend, and it's going to be a whirlwind tour, and I'm going to land back in town, a couple hours before shift starts, go home, take a quick shower, and get to work. Okay. And that sounds awesome. Or guys going out and buying very nice new loaded up cars or bikes, or seeing all the pictures they post every weekend of the crazy stuff that they got into. So I definitely understand that burden aspect of it, if you will. But the one thing that no one ever talks about with kids when it comes to matters of whether you're pro-choice or pro-life is the reward of kids. Ask any parent. It's the most rewarding thing you'll ever do. Now, I have built all sorts of trucks while I'm up at work. One of the jobs that I've done is repairing things while they're being built. So I'll give you an example. Suppose that a specific part isn't ready to be put on the truck as the truck's going through a workstation. That doesn't necessarily stop the assembly line. What will happen in that case is they will go ahead and ship it on down, and it will just get caught up when those parts get to the line, and there's people in that area that will fix those before they get put into a truck. Engines being specifically, but that happens all up and down the line. So there was one time there was a motor mount that did not get installed in time, so I had to go fix it. Well, I was in the middle of something else for my supervisor, and I didn't get on it right away, so I had to put the inner motor mount on, the outer motor mount on. They didn't get the AC compressor put on it or the AC lines put on the compressor, and it snowballed on down through a bunch of, and basically I had to repair 6 or 7 jobs worth of stuff on this one engine to get it ready to go in. And all of it was first time stuff, so I'm having to figure out how it all fits together. Got it done. It was very satisfying to get it done. There's nothing more satisfying than seeing your kids turn out to be decent people. And that's coming from someone that has fixed a lot of things over the years, whether it's someone else's or mine, or, you know, putting the clutch in the Mustang that I did a couple months ago. It's still got a bad throw-out bearing in it. I put an aftermarket throw-out bearing in it, and it is hot garbage. I can still drive it a little bit, but it needs to be put back together. I just haven't had time. So, pardon me, it needs to be swapped. But that's one thing that irritates me in all these debates, is that if you realize if you only look at the responsibility and the cost of children, you would run screaming as fast as you could away from ever being able to have kids. Okay, fine. If you look at the reward and the possibility of children and the emotional fulfillment of teaching them things that are worthwhile and watching them turn into worthwhile people and people that you would enjoy spending time with one-on-one. That's also very satisfying, and that's never talked about. And I think that that's tragic. That's what I got on this one, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I will catch you next time.